Hello, my friends. I'm Andrea. Welcome today to a special episode with George from UpTrade. I would like to have a short introduction from George about his expertise and UpTrade services, and then to talk about the main astrological trends of the year, which would be until mid-2025. So stay tuned for an interesting conversation today. George, thank you for being here. How are you?
Yes, really well, Andrea. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you. I know that you were recently on a holiday and you're back, and it's really good to have this opportunity to speak with you and seeing you, nice and fresh from the holiday.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah, so I guess to introduce myself, I'm one of the senior brokers at UpTrade, and UpTrade is a digital asset brokerage here. And today we're based in Australia, and today I'm really excited to announce our partnership with Andrea in the community. It's been a long time coming, and I know some of you may have seen my face before, but for those looking for the first time, my background is I've been in the digital asset space or crypto for the last 7 or 8 years now, really, researching, analyzing different trends and narratives in the space, understanding what works, what doesn't, from a fundamental, from a technical point of view. And so, I'm really excited to announce that anyone that's watching this video today will receive a 30% discount on our brokerage services, which is exclusive for Andrea's community.
Yes, so for this, please check the link in the description to join and have this perk, so to speak. Thank you so much, George. Can you also give us a brief introduction of UpTrade? Yes, my community, some of the audience is familiar with that, but there are also new audience. So let's introduce a bit services and the performance of UpTrade, also some feedback from recent clients. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about UpTrade from a service point of view. So we have 4 main services. The first is the ability to buy, sell, or swap over 500 different digital currencies in the crypto world. So that's everything from centralized or decentralized exchanges. We can provide access to these. We can also onboard any entity, whether it's an individual, a company account, or a retirement account. And some of our clients have multiple entities, and getting this verified is quite a challenge with some of the major exchanges in terms of KYC, and we sort of help onboard clients to that process and help them from a multi-entity point of view. We also have the ability to optional custody, and we use one of the gold standards of custody called Fireblocks, and they have an enterprise grade, really high caliber custody suite that's never been breached before, one of the most secure custody suites available in the space. It's even insured as well. We also have a team of in-house analysts, and they produce research, market trend analysis, research, fundamental research, and currently this is actually free and available to all our clients, but eventually will be behind a premium paywall. So feel free to enjoy that now whilst it's out there. And I guess the other service, the last one, is the ability to on-ramp funds into the market, all major fiat currencies, whether that's the euro, the US dollar, Canadian dollar. We can get anywhere from 10,000 to 10 million into the market and out of the market into people's bank accounts really safely and securely. And we have this set up in a way that is quite seamless, because we know that the banks at the moment have quite a few challenges getting money into and out of the market, and we have no issues with this. It's a very seamless process. So that's a little bit about what we do in a sort of a limelight, but hopefully that gives you a bit of an overview, Andrea.
Yes, thank you so much. And it was very nice explained, in my opinion. And I would say that now I would like to dive into a astrological trend with stories from UpTrade you will see in a minute. But first of all, I would like to frame the discussion because we have a Jupiter Saturn-Square. Jupiter is about expansion, it's about really growth in the markets, but Saturn is about risk management, it's about safety, security, but also a bit of restrictive influence. And we see that. This is coupled with volatility given by Uranus, which transitioned on 30th of May 2024 into the sidereal sign of Taurus, which is linked to finance. So we have Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, shaking up the financial system, really closing one era and starting a new one, as you know from my previous videos. While we have Saturn in Aquarius, which is about innovation, it's about artificial intelligence. So we see that really expanding in various industries and areas of activity. On August 19th, we had this first hit of the exact square between Jupiter and Saturn, and this will repeat on 24th of December, and also next year in June. It would be the mid-June, 15th of June, which would be most likely around the peak of Bitcoin, at least roughly speaking, you know, in the bull market. And throughout this time period, we will have a opportunity to really expand a lot. We will have opportunities, but this needs to be coupled with risk management and with a deep understanding of the markets, because we have these sudden drops, but we need to understand also the moving forces behind them, at least to a certain degree. We will never know everything, but it's very good to be informed. And Jupiter also points towards a consultancy, an advisory trend that would really help people navigate these interesting markets where we will have opportunities with crypto. Aquarius is also the symbol of decentralization. So decentralized systems, exchanges, and brokerages that would really grow in the next even 20 years, because Pluto, which is about power and transformation, will be in the tropical Aquarius for the next 20 years until 2044. So this would be really a big trend that we will see in the next decades. So very interesting times in the markets, I would say. And because we get this restlessness from Uranus and also this huge volatility, now also with planets turning retrograde or direct, even this day as we speak on 28th, Mercury turns direct, so it's a good sign for the markets. I would like George to share with us some customer stories from UpTrade to reflect what is happening lately on the field, so to speak.
Yeah, great opportunity. I think the most relevant example was August 5th of this month. Andrea, I know that you're probably aware of that date when we had a massive sell-off in the market. Ethereum was down about 20% in a day, in a 24-hour period, which is quite a rare occurrence, but it does happen from time to time with the volatility that we see in crypto. And, you know, at that time, people thought the sky was falling. It was a really, really large scale sell-off that sometimes a lot of, you know, what we call whales institutions or market makers, they like to flush out market participants and create a lot of fear in the market. And at that point, we had actually broken a key level to the downside, and a lot of clients were calling, you know, really concerned and fearful and just not sure what to do. And there's all these news reports coming out with negative, you know, fear about potential war escalations, and you know, they were actually calling wanting to sell. And so I just wanted the idea here, and I think what I'm going to do is bring up a review that's a testimonial. It's a really good example of this, and this was a genuine review from one of my clients that's been working with me for 5 months now. I'll just bring that up to sort of demonstrate. So the idea behind this is to, you know, make a data-driven approach when it comes to buying or selling, and not just rely on emotions, and taking that emotional element out of the equation. So I think the review here is based upon, you know, strategic conversations, accessing a rich pool of data, and finding a way to make a strength in the portfolio. And by strength, we mean, you know, limiting the amount of downside risk. So I had a client wanting to sell, and I mentioned to them, look, this is a pretty large-scale liquidation event, the biggest since we had when one of the exchanges collapsed last year was FTX. And I did mention that you could be making an emotional decision. And so I said, let's just sit on this for 24 hours, maybe wake up the next day, reassess. And coincidentally, the next day, that person had woken up and the market had recovered, and we were already 70% back in the green from that point. So if this client had sold at that point where they had called me to get out of fear, she would have been not only down 30%, but also lost in the opportunity cost to the upside. So it's very crucial to have, you know, a guided resource, like a personalized broker that you can call at any time, especially if you're newer to the market. But even for sophisticated investors, that want to get a bit of a sense check and just, want to get a health check on their portfolio. I mean, even if you're experienced with 5, 6, 7 years of experience, you can still get on the phone, bounce some ideas, understand what's trending. So some of the data analytics tools we look at are looking at the spot, what we call the spot market and the futures market. This just means how much leverage there is in the market. And if you looked at it from a liquidation point of view, that's the amount of people that were forced out of the market that was at a mass scale that day. So we could infer from that data analytics that that was an overreaction to the downside. So I think that testimonial and that story is really important, especially during this extreme volatility we've been seeing as of late, where it looks like every day the sky is going up to the max extreme greed and then down to extreme fear, and we haven't seen this in quite a while. So it's a very, I'd say, rewarding but challenging market at the moment. Would you agree, Andrea?
Yes, this is true, and excellent work, George. Thank you for sharing this. UpTrade provides excellent customer service, as you see, also extra security and safe custody. So it's very important these days to really rely on such trustful services. So this was a great example, I would say. Then can we dive into a bit of the security aspect? This is very relevant also astrologically because of this Saturn in Aquarius. It's in a constellation called in Sanskrit Purva Bhadrapada, which is also about fire. So it's fire. We feel the heat in the markets, but it's also a challenging environment. Like George said, it's about people sentiment also, because markets are made by people. So we will have this, worry, instability, and so on. So it's important to be as safe and secure as possible. And last but not least, to get informed, to be knowledgeable, and to tap into this new world for some of you. But in crypto, I think we are always students. Like in astrology, I would say it's a never-ending path. So I would like you to give us some insight, some information about how security is handled at UpTrade.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really important question, and we get almost once a week I get a call from a client, not a client, but a potential prospect that would like to speak with me and tell me they've lost X amount of dollars in crypto, and they still haven't believed they've been scammed, and they're still hopeful. And it's because these scammers have become so sophisticated and make things look so real, and it's so vast. And this will change with time as regulations come out and more trusted parties like UpTrade or other crypto brokers or exchanges come to light. And we're working towards, we're a fully registered entity in Australia. We have registrations with the Australian regulator called AUSTRAC, and at the end of the year, we're hoping to have our what we call Australian Financial Services license to operate as a fully fledged brokerage, which they're still working through this. Being crypto is a new market and there's a lot to improve and work on, but the idea is that by next year we'll be just operating just like any financial advisory firm or stockbroking firm with the same certifications. So that's the first thing, is the understanding of the registry requirements of the country. And Australia is a heavily regulated country. So from a regulatory point of view, people trust us and our banking system and our policies because of how trustworthy that they view Australia. But I think from a custody point of view, we have really invested in enterprise, so what we call the gold standard of digital asset custody. We use a third-party software called Fireblocks, and they have partnered with some of the top banks in Australia, but also in the US too. They partner with Revolut, BNY Mellon. They have National Australia Bank and ANZ Bank in Australia, which are the top banks in this, massive banks. And this is actually quite a unique offering because we can offer this to our clients as a value add to store their digital assets with us. Now, I, of course, am a crypto enthusiast and I believe in self-custody, so owning the rights to sovereignty of your own assets. But sometimes that isn't the most safest and securest method because it relies on the individual to securely store their seed phrase, have it backed up, and ensure that they are able to continue that in case something happens to them and they want to then transfer those assets to the next person in the next of kin. So with UpTrade, we store all our client funds one-to-one in a unique Fireblocks vault. So they'll have their own unique vault. Think of it as like a a gold vault. When you go and store gold in any maybe Perth Mint or any minting company, maybe in Germany, this one, or London, they would have a unique vault where they'd store your gold. Same thing with crypto. We store individuals' crypto, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or any of the likes out there, in the unique vaults. And the importance of this is that they use a very sophisticated form of technology. I won't go into too much detail, but it requires multiple parties to approve a withdrawal before something is withdrawn. And it's one of the most secure methods called multi-party computation. And it's very advanced, probably one of the most sophisticated custody methods there are out there. And Fireblocks has never reported a breach before in its history of operations since 2015. They've never been hacked or breached. They constantly do what we call cybersecurity penetration testing or phishing testing to ensure that their systems are secure. And it even comes with insured custody. So this is one of a kind. It's a very unique policy that each client can benefit from their funds being insured in transit and at rest. That just means if funds are held in their vault, something happens by the odd chance, that's an insured event. So it really does give me peace of mind to keep our clients' funds safe at night and during the day, because this is an industry where we rely on trust and security. And the fact that Fireblocks are so proactive on that, it's amazing. So a couple of other things as well is we have whitelisted addresses. In short, that just simply means we can set sending locations to withdraw funds to that specific address, whether it's your bank account or a specific crypto address. And if something does happen and it needs to be sent somewhere else, it won't happen because it's restricted to just that one channel. So there's numerous ways, even to avoid human error. We've got, it has to go through multiple layers of approval before a withdrawal goes out from UpTrade. So if one person approves it, has to go through the second stage. And it's, with all this security and measures, on top of the amount of compliance requirements that Fireblocks has received, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen as well and just show you, go back to this screen here.
Yes, it's great, and it's a complex process, as you see, very secure, and it is great to have insight into this, because I'm sure it's new for a lot of people, including me, so it's always good to learn about the security measures.
Absolutely. So without getting too much into the details, they have this thing called multi-party computation, which requires multiple people to approve it before it goes out or anywhere, really. There's also very secure methods of storing it. That's quite complex. There's even sophisticated policy engines, which require specific approval workflows that we have to go through to get a withdrawal. And then, of course, the whitelisted network. But also the most important as well is the security methods that I'm just going to share this screen now. Okay, we're looking at that. Is the amount of what we call penetration testing or cybersecurity processes and security reviews. So they regularly do these testings all throughout the year. They are fully information security certified, which is what we call ISO compliant. And Fireblocks is one of the leading institutions. So if I actually go onto their main webpage and show you some of the brands that use Fireblocks, you can see here maybe some of these logos you're familiar with yourself. Revolut, BNY, eToro, ANZ, NAB. I live in Australia, so these are massive standouts. So if these huge multinational companies are going through their compliance processes and checking all the boxes and it passes their checks, then it gives me a lot of peace of mind, Andrea.
Yes, this is great. You see a great lineup of partnerships and you get enterprise-grade security, really. This is great to hear, George. Thank you so much for these insights about security. I think we can continue and also wrap up our discussion with a sort of big picture. What trends do we have ahead? Also, what is in front of us from a market expertise perspective that I'm very keen to find out. And astrologically, we know with the liquidity cycle, of course, we do have some positive transits to look forward with the main cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Usually we are really eagerly waiting for the end of the year, where we see Bitcoin usually taking off, and Ethereum also has a very interesting expanding aspects in the individual horoscope. Last but not least, mid-2025 we will have also Jupiter, the planet of expansion, really transiting into the tropical Cancer, where it is exalted. And exalted means it's in the maximum position possible. So from there, it would influence the markets in a more, let's say, powerful way. Therefore, we look forward to really peaks and expansion around that month of June, July 2025. So now, George, how do you see the next month from an expert lens?
I think the biggest catalyst that we're seeing for a potential continuation of the current trend for the bull market to potentially continue would have to be geared around the US election, and that's in November. Seeing the outcome of that, of course, both candidates are somewhat pro-crypto, more sort of Trump is definitely pro-crypto, saying that he wants Bitcoin potentially to be a reserve asset in the US. So really seeing what happens beyond the election or thereabouts leading into it. We also have to look out for the ETF, what we call the amount of institutional inflows to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and see if they're trending up. I know we had recently a massive inflow day for BlackRock, actually, the highest it's ever been. So that means that more people are buying crypto through the institutional bid that BlackRock has provided through Coinbase, and that's at all-time highs. We need to look at and see once the Federal Reserve cuts rates in September, next month in September, what that looks like. Does the market have a positive reaction to that, a negative? And that just simply means that the US Reserve might start to increase the money supply or start to go in that way, in that process towards that way. And start, and typically if the money supply expansion is expanding, it could create more opportunities for, harder assets or people's preferred assets to increase in value. I'm not saying that will, but it could potentially lead that way. And we need to see, how the trends unfold for the commodities market. We've got gold surging to all-time high at the moment. And, some analysts view gold as crypto or Bitcoin as digital gold. So we need to see potentially that those two gaps are closed and the market starts to price that in. But the key catalysts to summarize are observing the ETF inflows or outflows, the reaction of the market to the Fed rate cuts next month, and also looking at the US election. Does people start potentially buying Bitcoin in anticipation of a Trump victory? Because at the moment, Trump seems to be the most likely candidate. And also, what does the commodity market look like for the next 6 to 12 months? So there are a couple of key, macro and geopolitical events that we look out for at UpTrade, and we release this in our newsletter to keep our clients informed. What are you seeing, Andrea, in terms of from your view?
Yes, it sounds very plausible. I think for sure rates would go up, and I think the election would be an interesting point. Now, I do not know if Trump would win. Maybe, yes, I would look astrologically. We can look into it, of course, and I'm sure also others are doing that. Didn't do this yet, just to be clear what candidates we have, to really compare and see. I think interesting times are for crypto ahead, and thank you so much for your insightful examples that you gave today, for the explanations, and looking forward for another episode as the time unfolds and we get more interesting events in the market.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to creating more content with you, and as time unfolds, we're really excited to get this underway. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. See you.
Bye now.